So good morning to all. So today we are going to discuss about trigeminal neuralgia. So trigeminal nerve is one of the important cranial nerve. So there are 12 cranial nerves, as you know. So nerve. So there are some cranial nerves are sensory, some cranial nerves are motor only, and some cranial nerves are mixed. Among the mixed cranial nerves, trigeminal is one of them. So before going to discuss about the anatomy and physiology of trigeminal nerve and the pathology of trigeminal neuralgia, we will discuss about what are the common causes for hemifacial pain. So there are certain diseases may cause persisting pain over the face, one half of the face. So majority of the disorders which causes hemifacial pain are trigeminal neuralgia and atypical facial pain and post-herpetic neuralgia. So these three common diseases may produce hemifacial pain. So the difference between all these conditions is the nature of the pain differentiates the various disorders. So this slide is showing that the main difference between the trigeminal neuralgia, atypical facial pain, and post-herpetic neuralgia. So the main differentiating feature is nature of the pain. So in case of trigeminal neuralgia, the pain is very brief and severe and recurrent pain, and it usually described as a shock-like pain, and most frequently it is felt in the second and third regions of the nerve. Coming to the atypical facial pain, usually it is continuous and unremitting. In case of trigeminal nerve, usually it is a brief, severe shock-like pain. Usually it will occur as a recurrent and remitting type of pain. Atypical facial pain is usually continuous and unremitting pain. And coming to post-herpetic neuralgia, usually the pain is continuous pain in the post-herpes. Atypical facial pain is usually situated around the maxilla and sometimes only on left side, and it occurs most frequently in middle-aged women. And in case of post-herpetic neuralgia, usually the pain is continuous and the character of the pain is burning type of pain throughout the affected area. And usually it is very sensitive to light touch, and it can be easily differentiated by with the history of recent history of shingles. So coming to the brief introduction of about the trigeminal nerve. So as you know very well, it's a fifth cranial nerve. This is the largest cranial nerve among cranial nerves, and it is a mixed cranial nerve. So it has a large sensory part and a small motor part. So it is predominantly sensory in function, and it may innervates some of the muscles of the mastications. The sensory division consists of three divisions. So that's why it is called trigeminous, means triplet. So trigeminal nerve means because of these three divisions, it is called as trigeminal nerve. And the sensory division of trigeminal nerve usually divides into three divisions: ophthalmic division, maxillary division, and mandibular division. So the sensory root gives sensation to the greater part of the face and head, and mucous membranes of the nose, mouth and paranasal sinuses, and it also gives some sensory impulses to the cornea and conjunctiva. And it also provides the sensory innervation of the dura in the anterior and middle cranial fossa. So coming to course of trigeminal nerve, it arises by two roots, as I told in the previous slide: a small medial motor root and a larger lateral sensory root from the ventrolateral aspect of the pons. So this slide is showing a small medial motor root, then a lateral larger sensory root from the ventrolateral aspect of the pons. So sensory root passes forward and laterally over the apex of the petrous temporal bone and enters into the middle cranial fossa, where it exhibits a trigeminal ganglion, and followed by it divides into three divisions like ophthalmic, maxillary, and mandibular divisions. So coming to ophthalmic division, it passes through the cavernous sinus and the superior orbital fissure and gives branches to the anterior part of the scalp, forehead, eye. Coming to the second division of maxillary nerve, it leaves the skull through the foramen rotundum and traverses the infraorbital canal and supplies the cheek, especially cheek. And the third division is mandibular nerve. It emerges from the skull through the foramen oval to reach the infratemporal fossa, which is the motor root, and usually it distributes to the lower lip, chin, and the lower part of the cheek, and its auriculotemporal branch supplies the tragus of the ear and temple. So it also supplies the inner aspect of the cheek and the anterior two-thirds of the tongue, and its lingual branch carries taste fibers from the anterior two-thirds of the tongue, which leave it in the chorda tympani to join the facial nerve. So that is about the sensory root. Coming to motor root after emerging from the pons and ventrolateral side, it passes forward and laterally deep to the sensory root and it ganglion and joins the mandibular nerve after emerging from the foramen well. So this slide is showing pons. So from this, both sensory and motor roots are traversing from the petrous temporal bone, and after forming the ganglion, they divide into the three parts. So after leaving the foramen oval, the motor root joins with the mandibular nerve. So the motor root of the trigeminal nerve usually innervates the muscles of the mastications, like muscles which are helps in the mastication. So temporalis muscle, masseter, pterygoids, mylohyoid, anterior belly of the digastric and the tensor tympani and tensor palatal muscles. Suppose if the unilateral paralysis of the masticator muscles, the jaw is pushed towards the affected side and opening up by the unopposed external pterygoid on the unaffected side. So that is about anatomy and course of the trigeminal nerve. So then we will discuss about the disorders of the trigeminal nerve. Number one is trigeminal neuralgia. So trigeminal neuralgia is also known as tic doulorex. So an estimated annual incidence of this condition is 4.5% per 1 lakh people. And most of the times it affects the middle-aged and elderly persons, more than 50 to 60 years of age group. And women are more commonly affected than the males. And onset is typically it is a sudden and sudden in onset and occurs in bouts and tends to persist for weeks or months before remitting spontaneously. Remissions may be long lasting, but in most patients, the disorder ultimately recurs. Coming to the etiology of trigeminal neuralgia, it is most commonly caused by compression of the nerve by aberrant blood vessels in the posterior fossa. So this is the most common cause. And suppose if the trigeminal neuralgia is seen in young patients, then you should suspect multiple sclerosis because of a demyelination of trigeminal nerve. Sometimes, rarely, trigeminal nerve is compressed by tumors in the posterior fossa tumors like vestibular schwannoma or other space-occupying lesions in the CP angle. So the coming to the etiology, usually it is due to various causes. Most common causes compression of the trigeminal nerve by aberrant blood vessels or by some tumors in the CP angles, and sometimes it may be associated with because of stress and because of trauma and genetic tendency. Demyelination also causes the trigeminal neuralgia. And the trigeminal nerve is most commonly affected by intramedullary lesions, and it may be damaged during the intracranial part of its course, and sometimes its branches may be compressed by extracranially. And the earliest feature of trigeminal neuralgia is loss of corneal sensation. Both motor and sensory fibers of the trigeminal nerve is rarely affected. So complete interruption of the both motor and sensory fibers of the trigeminal nerve is very rare because of its wide anatomic distribution. So majority of the trigeminal neuralgia cases, so there will be a partial dysfunction of the trigeminal nerve. Most of the times, the sensory part of the trigeminal nerve is most commonly affected and produces the main symptoms like facial numbness and pain. So, a complete interruption of both motor and sensory fibers of trigeminal is very rare. Only partial dysfunction of the trigeminal is most common and produces the common symptoms of facial numbness and pain. Coming to pathophysiology of trigeminal neuralgia, the trigeminal nerve root entry zone is the main site for pathology, and it may be due to because of a demyelination or a compression of this nerve by innate tumors, and it causes the increases the firing of trigeminal afferents and results in characteristic painful. So when a specific cause can be identified, so then it is called as symptomatic trigeminal neuralgia. Coming to manifestations, so the characteristic feature of trigeminal nerve is it presents as a paroxysmal episode of severe pain of sudden onset with a short duration in the area of distribution of one or more of the three divisions of trigeminal nerve. And each attack lasts for only a matter of seconds to minutes, and often it is described as a piercing type of pain or sharp shooting type of pain with electric shock-like character. And most commonly, it affects the second and third divisions of the trigeminal nerve, and very rarely it affects the first division. So the typical pain in trigeminal nerve usually tends to recur frequently, both day and night, and for several weeks at a time. This type of pain may occur spontaneously, or sometimes it may be provoked by movements of the face and jaw, like by speaking or chewing or smiling, may aggravate the typical onset of pain. Sometimes by simple touching of the face may also provoke the pain, or by simple moving of the air across the face may also produce the severe attacks of pain. So one more important feature of this trigeminal nerve is there will be some triggering factors. So typically these triggering factors are situated over the face, lips, and tongue. By touching these triggering factors, they will provoke the painful attacks. So sometimes a tactile stimuli may also generate the severe pain, like washing the face and brushing the teeth, or exposed to air also produce the pain. So because of its intensity of pain, usually the patient will screw up their face in agony. That's why it is called as tic douloureux. And the attacks may be followed by very less severe pain, and the attacks usually stop at the nights. And remissions last for months or years in the early stages, and the condition usually persists for the rest of the life, suppose if the patient is not treated well. And if you examine the sensory system, there will be there won't be any objective sense of sensory loss. So this slide is showing the panic attack of pain in the trigeminal neuralgia. So the patient will winces the face within a minute, say seconds to minutes. So this type of feeling will occur during the panic attack of trigeminal neuralgia. So these are the main characteristic features of trigeminal nerve, trigeminal nerve pain. So number one is it's paroxysmal nature of the facial pain, and most of the times the pain is unilateral. So bilateral involvement is very rare, and usually it affects the second and third divisions of the trigeminal nerve, and the pain intensity of the pain makes the patient to wince, and presence of triggering factors also one of the important characteristic feature of trigeminal pain, and lack of demonstrable sensory deficit, and usually it responds to the anti-epileptic drugs. So this is the main characteristic features of the trigeminal pain. Suppose if the pain is continuous, then most of the times it will not caused by trigeminal neuralgia, and the absence of triggering factors are absence of provocation of pain by eating, talking, or touching also rules out the trigeminal neuralgia. So continuous pain and the absence of triggering factors usually rules out the trigeminal neuralgia. And there are certain muscles supply to the trigeminal like masseter, temporalis, medial pterygoid, and the lateral pterygoid. And sometimes trigeminal may also supply the non-masticated muscles like mylohyoid, anterior belly of digastric, tensor palatal, tensor tympani. Coming to examination of trigeminal neuralgia, so motor function is examined by palpating the temporal and the masseter muscles by asking the patient to clench his teeth. And sensory function is tested by testing the it is a simple cotton ball by placing over the forehead, cheeks, and chin. You should assess the sensory system. Coming to the diagnosis of trigeminal neuralgia, so it is usually diagnosed by a simple history, by taking simple history, the clinical diagnosis, and there are certain diagnostic criteria for diagnosing the trigeminal neuralgia. So number one is pain, the nature of the pain, paroxysmal attacks of pain, which are persisting for seconds to minutes and affecting one or more divisions of the trigeminal nerve. And the pain is characterized by sharp stabbing type of pain and precipitated by certain triggering factors. And each attack of pain is stereotypical, and there are usually no other neurological deficits. So that is one of the important clue for diagnostic important diagnostic criteria. Without any neurological defects. And suppose if there is no causative lesion is, then it is called idiopathic trigeminal neuralgia. And if there is any specific cause, then it is called symptomatic trigeminal neuralgia. Coming to differential diagnosis of trigeminal neuralgia. So trigeminal neuralgia must be distinguished from other causes of face and head. So simple disorders of the jaw and disease of the teeth like a caries teeth or dislocation of temporomandibular joint or disorders of the sinuses like maxillary sinuses, so may cause pain. So pain arising from the disease of the differentiated by the important differential diagnosis for trigeminal neuralgia is migraine and cluster headache are deep-seated and steady type of pain, and whereas in trigeminal neuralgia, usually the pain is superficial and stabbing type of quality. And in case of migraine headache, usually there will be other precipitating factors or any aura will be there. And coming to another differential diagnosis, temporal arteritis. So temporal arteritis is one of the uh, important differential diagnosis in trigeminal neuralgia. Here the pain is usually superficial facial pain, not a shock-like pain. And there will be another feature, systemic symptoms like myalgias and elevated ESR, usually suggestive of temporal arteritis. Suppose if the pain, trigeminal pain in the trigeminal area in a young patient bilaterally, then you should suspect multiple sclerosis. So coming to management of trigeminal neuralgia. So it is medical management. Coming to medical management, so medical management is effective in majority of patients, and after confirmation of the trigeminal neuralgia, you have to give uh, carbamazepine. Carbamazepine is the drug of choice for pain for trigeminal neuralgia, and this carbamazepine should be started with a low dose of 100 milligram of sustained release with twice daily, and the dose is slowly escalated day by day until the pain is controlled. And majority of patients require a maintenance dose of 200 milligram of carbamazepine 6 hourly. So up to majority of patients require 1000 to 1200 milligram of carbamazepine. More than 1200 milligram of carbamazepine, usually there won't be any additional benefit. And if you give more doses of carbamazepine, they will cause side effects like ataxia and drowsiness. So more than 500 milligram of carbamazepine twice daily may produce side effects like ataxia and drowsiness. So the common side effects of increased carbamazepine dose, it may cause dizziness, imbalance, ataxia, sedation, uh, exfoliative dermatitis, and sometimes it may cause hyponatremia. So if the treatment is effective after starting the carbamazepine, usually it should be continued for 1 month. And after 1 month, we have to taper the dose slowly. Suppose if the carbamazepine is not successful or if the patient is not tolerated well with carbamazepine, you have to try with another anti-epileptic drugs like oxycarbamazepine with a dose of 300 to 1200 milligram twice daily, or gabapentin, or phenytoin 300 to 400 milligram, or lamotrigine 400 milligram per daily, and baclofen with or without anticonvulsants. These are all the drugs usually used when the carbamazepine is not successful or when the patient is not tolerated with high dose of carbamazepine. Then suppose if even with medical treatment, if the patient is not relieved with pain, then you have to go for surgical management. So the most common treatment of surgical is microvascular decompression. The main cause for neuralgia is compression of the nerve by aberrant blood vessels or any tumors in the CP angle. So the compression is relieved by microvascular decompression or removal of any tumors may relieve the pain post-operatively. Sometimes they may require suboccipital craniotomy during this procedure. And this procedure, microvascular decompression with suboccipital craniotomy, it has a more than 70% of efficacy rate, and it lowers the pain recurrence. It causes the decreases the recurrence of pain in the post-operative period, and it may alleviate the symptoms of severe pain and preserve the sensory function. And response is better for classic tick-like symptoms than the non-lancinating pain, facial pains. And complications, coming to complications of surgery, it may cause damage to the eighth or cranial nerve, or it may damage the cerebellum during the surgical procedures, and it may also produce post-operative CSF leak. And another method of surgical treatment is gamma knife radiosurgery. It results in complete pain relief in more than 2/3 of patients. And the advantage of this procedure is there is a low risk of persistent facial numbness. And usually the response is long lasting, but patients may develop recurrent pain within a 2 to 3 years of post-operative period. And gamma knife surgery is less effective when compared to the surgical decompression of the nerve. Coming to another method of surgical treatment is radiofrequency thermal rhizotomy. It's another procedure. During this procedure, usually they will distract the trigeminal nerve partially. So with this method, usually it is not used nowadays, and it will give some short-term relief of pain in more than 95% of patients. And pain recurs in this procedure also. There will be recurrence of pain. And coming to post-operative complications with radiofrequency thermal rhizotomy, there will be numbness, partial numbness of the face, and weakness of the masseter, and corneal denervation with secondary keratitis can follow rhizotomy. Coming to prognosis of trigeminal neuralgia, patients with trigeminal neuralgia can have spontaneous or medication-induced remissions, and the microvascular decompression is often curative. So that is about trigeminal neuralgia. So trigeminal neuralgia is one of the longest cranial nerve, trigeminal nerve, and it has both. It is a mixed nerve, predominantly sensory in function. It also innervates the muscles of mastication. It is usually diagnosed by careful history, with a classical history of pain, characteristic feature of pain with shock-like pain over the one or more divisions of the trigeminal nerve with the history of any triggering factors, and diagnosed by simple history, and sometimes they require invasive procedures like non-invasive procedure like MRI scan, mainly to rule out the decompression of the nerve by tumors. And treatment is by medical treatment and surgical treatment. Medical treatment is by carbamazepine or other anticonvulsant drugs are usually used. Surgical is microvascular decompression of the nerve by any aberrant blood vessels or any removal of CP angle tumors. So that is about trigeminal neuralgia. So in the next class, we will discuss about facial nerve disorders, Bell's palsy, facial nerve paralysis. So thank you.